Hey everybody, JJ here, back again for another Wednesday of Zoom networking. And I'm really pleased to have the young lady we have speaking for us today. Our guest speaker is a rock star. Uh, I've been aware of her face and name on the landscape of real estate investment education community for the last 5 years when I started as a student. This young lady also started as a student, become an entrepreneur, a business person. She's a mom as well as a business person. So she's running a family and a business at the same time, which is two full-time jobs. And it's just amazing. I would like to introduce you guys to my friend, Jenna Hoover. Jenna, how are you?
Fantastic. Thanks. You're like the best cheerleader. I like that. You're very sweet. Made me seem way cooler in real life
Well,
than real
you're
life.
you're pretty darn cool. I've had the honor to meet you a couple of times, and I'm thrilled that you're here with us today. We got a pretty good group on the call with us. Now, for those that don't know you, where in the country are you located?
So I'm in southwestern Pennsylvania, about an hour and a half south of Pittsburgh. So the bottom left-hand corner of the state.
Wow, yeah, I've got some friends flying in from Pittsburgh this weekend for our networking picnic. So I've actually been to Pittsburgh. Jenna, I'm familiar with you from when I started with Fortune Builders several years ago, and real estate's our commonality. That's what we have in common. You're very visible, very successful. You're extremely well known in the community, from coast to coast, country to country. I've seen you at multiple events. Um, Real estate, is this something that you've always been into? I mean, was your family into it? Were you introduced to it like in your teens, or were you just doing the high school thing? What did your teens entail? And if you weren't into it, like what were you doing then? And then, was it something you did in your 20s, or were you going to school in your 20s? So let's kind of cover the beginning years, or at least your teens and was real estate a part of those years for you?
So in my teens, I was working at Dairy Queen. So I was not doing real estate in my teens. I was in high school. But I always loved real estate. Like my dad, he used to be a contractor when he was, when we were younger, and I just always loved it. But I went to school for radiology. I have a medical background. So like a lot of people, like I didn't have real estate in my blood really by much. I just always loved it. I just knew that I wanted to do it. I would watch the shows on TV and I'd be like, man, I'm going to paint my cabinets like black today. Like, let's be wild and crazy.
There
Just
you
always loved
go.
it. But I just always wanted to do it. I just never knew anybody who did. And I just was scared just like everybody else. But I did medical sales for about 7 years and I did really well. I mean, I was making six figures at 20 years old. And I didn't wake up each day like, man, I just love this career. Like every day it was like, ugh, like I don't want to have to do this. This sucks, and so, kind of fast forward to was married and divorced, and kind of, things like that happened. And I was at the gym one day and an ad on my phone popped up when I was listening to a radio, and it was for a free real estate seminar. And I'm like, heck, what do I have to lose? I already lost everything, other than, my daughter, which was like the most important thing. But my marriage had fallen apart, things like that. So I'm like, heck, why not? Let's go to real estate school. And I went and I was hooked. I, went to then the 3 day event, then paid and had coaching, and kind of took off from there. But I think, I mean, I will probably get into my story and stuff like that. But yeah, I didn't have real estate in my background or anything like that. I went to school for radiology, but I loved it and I wanted to do it and I was going to figure it out.
So you did the radiology thing for a while, and then was there did you go from radiology kind of directly into real estate? Was it a part-time transition? Was it a full? Did you just sort of, I mean, how did you get into real estate full time? Because now you're full time. I mean, what was it through becoming a student and then coaching that led to that, or what was how did that transition come about?
No, so as far as like when I got into real estate, like I had been in medical sales and then I had been working at a doctor's office and then I got back into medical sales again. And then at that time when I saw the ad, I had just been, recently married and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, like I see this ad, I'm ready to, kind of take action and things. But I mean, whenever I got into it, I basically made the decision, and like, and I hate saying this, and like, just because like I don't want people to feel like you have to quit your careers right away. But I basically made that move, and I don't recommend it. It was scary, but at that time, like, and the reason I'm saying this is because at that time I'd just gotten married, so I moved in with him, and he had his own house. It was paid for at that point. Like all of the bills, obviously he paid for them. But I had my own expenses that I took care of. But at that point, I was like, all right, if I have enough in savings that I can give myself 3 months. And so I made that move. Like I'm jumping into this like head first. And whenever I got into it, it was like $25,000 to pay for the education company that that I was affiliated with. And it was 6 months of training. So I looked at it and I said, okay, $25,000, 24 weeks. Every week that I sit here and I don't do something, I'm taking $1,000 away from my 2-year-old little girl and I'm burning it. So like I have to make this move. And I had enough in savings that I could survive on like for my expenses for like 3 months. So I said, all right, like let's wing it. Let's do it. So I just hate saying that story because I don't want somebody thinking like, all right, I'm just quitting my job tomorrow. Like
Yeah.
obviously be mindful and plan. And I don't recommend just quitting right away.
So as you got into real estate, I know, Pace Morby's big on the landscape these days. And he talks about acquisitions and disposition, doing the paperwork, transaction coordinator. There's a lot of different hats that are needed as one gets into this. Did you find that one field or another really suited your wheelhouse that you're more comfortable with? And
You mean like between which fields?
well, within real estate, I mean, um, as I became aware of you, it was with Real Flow, and Real Flow is well. Let's go into that. For those that don't know what Real Flow is, we're going to talk about that a little bit. Could you tell folks that are maybe watching on YouTube right now, or maybe on the call that haven't heard about Real Flow, a little bit about what that is? Because that's been played a kind of a key role for your business and where you're at, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like real
Well,
flow is like I would never get a tattoo, I don't think, but if I would, I always joke that that would be my tattoo. So real flow is a real estate software. And if you're going to look it up, make sure you put the E in the middle. So it's almost spelled like real E flow. And JJ, if we need to like hook you up and get you like at a link that we can post somewhere so that like that way everybody can just easily go to it. But anyways, so RealFlow, what it is, it's a real estate software. And what it is we are a data provider as well as a real estate CRM or like business management tools. So just to kind of like break it down into English, if we're sitting here and we're like, man, I need to flip houses, I need people to call me, I need leads. Well, this is exactly what we do. So we provide over 148 million nationwide leads, and then you can like filter them down and find the foreclosures and find like all the like super cool properties. And we team it up with some like really creepy artificial intelligence, like creepy because of how unbelievable it is, but amazing for what it does. So we're the only company that's out there that really leverages the artificial intelligence to give you what's called a sellability score. So that's great. We can pull a list, but give me the good ones. Like find me the properties that will sell. Like, and we predict them very, very successfully. And then on the other half of it, what it is, it's a real estate CRM. So what that means is it's going to be a place where you put all your contacts, your buyers, your sellers. You can analyze properties right there because it has a built-in repair estimator. So if I say, does that need a roof? I hit one button and say, yeah, and it's going to calculate the total for the roof and the windows and the siding and figure out whether it's a deal or not and how much money will I make. And I can build websites in there. Like if I'm a real estate investor or even like a wannabe real estate investor, and I'm like, okay, where do I even start? Like I'm brand new day one. I don't have a lot of money. What do I do? And I recommend RealFlow because there's built-in courses that can teach you how to be a real estate investor while giving you the tools and the resources within the actual product itself to be able to teach you what to do. Like, here's it will show you, is it a deal or not? I mean, it's like, you can do your scope of work and build out material lists and just get super organized from day one. But I mean, I've been using it myself for 10 years and I became part of their company kind of, and I help them in some different ways, but I would not be with the company if I wasn't 100% totally for it. Like it just wouldn't be worth my time. And I mean, I use it for my own deals. I've gotten so many different deals from it. I mean, like the stories I have are like, it may be too salesy if I even tell them to you, but it like it's the coolness. I won't say the S word. I was going to say it was something else, but it's amazing.
There you go. So, how long did you find out about it right away? Obviously, you must have done pretty well, and they've decided to bring you on board, or you've chosen to sort of have that be a part of what you do. How did they find you, approach you, or did you find this as something that really kind of you fit into and you wanted to jump in with them? How did that transpire for you?
Well, it's kind of like a funny story. So I was coaching with the other real estate education company, and I just got a new role where I was teaching marketing immersions, like where I would go out for 2 days and across the country and teach people marketing for 8 hours a day for 2 straight days, like teaching you all the paid, all the free, all the different marketing techniques to try to find leads and generate leads for your business. And part of it involved because I've been using RealFlow since like my first month in real estate, because they were somehow affiliated with the company that educated me. But I was using it from from day one, but they had made a ton of advancements. It was like so much better. And then when I became part of that teaching thing, what I had to do is I had to teach a section on RealFlow. And so from using it more and more and having to teach it, I had to learn it way more. And as I was learning it more, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is freaking amazing. Like, are all you other coaches seeing how cool this stuff is? Like, are you guys all using it in your business? And so like, I just loved it. So I became like a total fan. And I remember I messaged Greg Clement. He's one of the owners of the business. And I basically said, I was like, hey, your product is so cool. And we were just like chatting about it. And it turns out he's their business is out in the Cleveland area. So they're about like 2.5 hours from me. And like, I just started, telling him about it, and we brainstorming ideas, and like we just hit it off. And he's like one of the most amazing people. Like I just owe so much of my success and advancement and everything in life to him. Like he's like the most amazing guy. Like his wife is amazing. His kids are so sweet. Like we go out to their farm. Like, I mean, my parents have met him. Like, his like family's just amazing. Like we played he has a basketball court in his house, which is so cool.
Cool.
But like my daughters play basketball in his house. Like we've had masterminds in his basement. Like he's like the most amazing person. He has like this huge farm. But long story short, so I just, became friends with him. And I like probably about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I just started doing some different like fun little marketing things for them, like doing Facebook lives where I would tour my properties and show how I use the software, because I do use it. There isn't one property that we ever have bought or that we're gonna ever buy that we don't put it through the ringer through the software. Like I'm analyzing it just like everybody else would. Like, and my job is to teach and educate people who use the product. So how phony would it be if I'm like, hey guys, here's how to do it, but I don't use it myself? Like, no, like the house I'm flipping right now, like we are just tracking our expenses just today in the software. Like this is what I use legit in my own business. So I mean, it's really, that's how I kind of became part of it. And then like kind of fast forward, maybe like, it was probably like maybe about like last year or so, I was doing some stuff with them, and they're like, hey, come on more and do some more things like with us. And I'm just an independent contractor with them. So like, my role is like, I like to call it like, it's like fun. Like it's like, I'm not like an employee, so I don't have to work there. So I get to work there is like the way I look at it. So
Cool.
it's like, when we kind of sit down this year, we're like, okay, like, what do we want to do? Like, how do we want to work together? And I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do this. Cause it's like the last year I've gotten so much stronger as an investor. I've gotten, so much stronger as a coach and all these different things. And, almost all of it I would attribute to just being with this group, these people, these brains, like our developers. Oh my gosh. Like you talk to them and I'm like, what language was that? But they're just amazing. And, our team's great. So I've been kind of developing my role. And, before it was more of like the affiliate relationships, because people can, work with us in that kind of a way. But now it's more of also like on the branded way. So I get to like really be facilitating a lot of investors and coaching a lot of different people. And so we have a lot of really cool programs that we have, a lot of mentoring things we're coming out with. So I'm going to be doing more mentoring again, which is
That sounds
super cool.
cool. Maya, you are on with Jenna Hoover. What's your question?
Hi, Jenna. So is this for commercial as well, or is it residential only?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. I'm so glad you asked. So it started out only residential, and then last year we came out with a commercial side. So in a whole entire commercial side. So like over 85 different like lead type combinations. Things like if you want to buy storage units, like or like self-storage facilities, if you want to buy mobile home parks, funeral homes, golf courses, like apartment complexes, you name it. So there's a whole side of it. And it's really not that much of an upcharge just because it's so new. So it's like in the beginning when it first came out, it was a little, a little wonky, So now it's like getting into it now with the commercial is perfect because it's like really inexpensive, but it's going to be getting more and more expensive because now we fixed like a ton of the bugs that were in it, like a ton of the issues that we had. So I'm sure it's going to be going up in price, but it's really, really cool.
So I'm a licensed realtor here in California. The data that the Real Flow gets, is it from MLS?
Oh, it's like we get data from like a ton of different places. So yes, we are connected. So we do have the active listings in there. We also have, we have a ton of different data feeds. So we're getting things from multiple different places, but where we're different is we take all that data and our developers take it and they merge it all together to make it to where it is all combined. So we may get data here, 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 and here, and all these different places. Like we have, like one of our filters is vacancy. So we're getting that from the United States Postal Service. So we're taking that data, like that stuff is updated every single day. So for you to want to have like a property that's an active listing, that's a vacant property, that's an option to where we can filter that and show that to you, showing you all the active listings that are sitting there vacant. But that's because we're buying data from 50 different places and then we're combining it all, sifting it, organizing it, making it, and handing it to you there on that silver platter.
How different would you say Real Flow is from Privy or PropStream? How much better is it, or what's the advantage of having that versus the other one?
It's going to be on the user, but the way that like I've had different people that they've had Privy, they've had PropStream, they've had all these other companies, and it's almost like, okay, so you have you have that login and you're paying $100 a month there. You have this one here. You have this one for MLS acts, like, so you can have MLS data. You have this one for your skip, like they had like 4 different companies, and it's like, or you could just have one for one fee. So like literally, and I hate being like negative selling any of the other companies because every one of them, they're great, but I'd rather have the company that does it all instead of like the one company that has really good MLS feeds, or the one company that's really good at showing you, how to, skip trace or do things like that, or this one for the leads. Like they all do pretty much the same thing, except none of them do everything that we do, is the easiest way to explain it. Like, and like, there are some things where we may say, okay, we can't do this, that this one other company does, but it's something that's in the works. Like it may be one filter or one drop down, or somebody wants it to have one additional button to do something. Like, we are constantly changing it, constantly improving it. Like every time, like it's like top notch, then we're like, we come out with some new alert or some new feature or some new, like we just came out with lien data. So now we have like everything like mechanics lien. We can see all the people that are getting divorced in the area. We can see, all the people that are getting utility liens. We can see delinquent taxes. Like we can see when people stop paying their mortgage. Like we are so invasive. Good for us, bad for them. But it's super, super cool to be able to really leverage it. And sometimes you can get like, I don't know, whoever is promoting it. Sometimes there may be like a 30-day trial or something like that. I'm not sure. We'll get JJ hooked up with something and try to offer something nice for you guys. Maybe get you guys a 30-day trial or something where you can go in, play around with it, see what you like. But the one thing to remember, it like I always like to say, it's like a gym. Like it's like a gym membership. If you sign up for it and you don't use it, don't blame the gym, because I know I know like the software is just unbelievable. I know it works. So, and then you have a lot of resources like people like me, our customer support, like people that are going to teach you guys, shape you, show you how to use it. Because again, what good is a gym if you go there, but you have never been there before and you don't even know what the machines do? So that's the whole goal, is then teaching you how to use it once you're using it. So those are a great questions.
Thank you so much. I'll definitely look it up.
Yeah.
I thank you so much. Rich Groves, you are on with Jenna Hoover. What's your question?
Yeah, hey Jenna, I was wondering, you using RealFlow software, do you have a favorite way of like stacking criteria for your leads?
Well, I have a new favorite way, and it may be a way I've never even taught you before. Cause like Rich is like one of my original, my OG students when it comes to RealFlow. So we've been working together for years now. So, it's actually, it's super simple, and it's not even like, doesn't even sound all that sexy when I tell it to you, but it was something I just recently did that somebody told me to do, but it ended up like working really cool. Because typically when you're pulling lists, you're trying to find the sellers, you're trying to find the motivated sellers, people that need to sell their house for whatever distress reasons. Okay, but if we talk about wholesaling, so, and Rich, you hear me talk about the whole 3 legs of wholesaling all the time, but if we talk about wholesaling, I like to kind of have you picture and imagine like a little wooden stool with 3 legs. And so, when it comes to wholesaling, there's 3 legs. So you need to have good leads coming in. You need to have the ability, like the art of negotiation, which is like the ability to get that property under contract and negotiated well. And then the 3rd leg is going to be a good quality buyers list. So, it's easy to kind of, when you picture that, like a little wooden stool. So you have to have leads coming in, you have to know what you're doing, get it under contract, and then have the way out. You have to have somebody to wholesale it to. So, and if one of those things, something happens, you kick that leg out from that stool, then that thing's toppling over. So when we talk about, okay, I can sit here and teach you guys all the ways to find motivated sellers, find leads, all that stuff. But then, okay, we can talk about ways to negotiate, get it under contract. But then what do we do whenever we're then at that point? If we've never built our buyers list, if we've never gone to a networking event, if we've never met people, if we never call people from bandit signs, if we have no idea who to wholesale it to. So what do we do then? So that's kind of like my situation, like where I invested here in Pennsylvania. There's not a lot of investor competition, which is great for me, sucky if you want to wholesale. So there's not a lot of people that are available for me to wholesale to, because I don't have a lot of investors in my area. So basically this is where I sat down on the system and I said, okay, what I did is I told the system, give me all the cash buyers in the area. So basically I said, give me all the houses that have been purchased, but have been purchased in cash. And then from there, I went into an additional filter where I basically said, give me all the houses now that have been purchased in cash within the last year or even the last 6 months. So now it's basically saying, okay, all these people that on this list bought a house, bought it in cash, bought it in the last 6 months. And then you could even go in, and if you want to just make it to where it was like just LLCs, like, so I'm saying, give me all the businesses that bought a house, bought it in cash, bought it in the last 6 months. And then there was my list. So now that's basically telling me these are all my cash buyers in my town. So then what I did is I basically sent them all direct mail letters. So this is where you can use the software, not only just to find the leads, but then I need to find the people to push the leads too. So then I just sent out like a real simple direct mail letter. I probably sent it out to maybe like, I think it was like 12 or 13 people, not very many, because there wasn't a whole lot. And out of that, I had 2 or 3 phone calls back. And so this one, I still have the guy's voicemail saved. He's like, I loved your letter. He's like, just love, he was like the coolest guy. He's like super successful, he has a huge portfolio, like 5 times mine. And then he's like, could be potentially a private lender. Like there was another guy, that they contacted me back. He's like, give me any leads you have. Like everybody was super receptive, but this is another way that you can leverage the software to not just find you the leads, but then find you the leads and then to wholesale it. And then also there's not to be like too like commercial break for the software, but there's also a feature on it called power matching. So what it does is like, if you have built out your buyers list, great. And it has a feature with it. It's almost like matchmaker. So if you have a property and you've put somebody in as a buyer and you've put in their buying criteria, you hit one button and it sifts through itself and it plays literally matchmaker, and it sees, okay, does anybody on your buyers list match the buying criteria, or does anybody on your list, does their buying criteria match any of the property that you have right here? So basically what it means is it's going to look through your list and say, okay, we have all these different people that buy at this type of property. Well, also there has another feature to where if you have no buyers on your own personal list, what it does is it will scrub through RealFlow's entire database. So over 200,000 users, it will look and so like say JJ, you put in a property in there and you say, okay, here's this new property I found. And you look through your buyers list and you're like, crap, I don't have any buyers that buy here. Like, what am I going to do? You hit the community buyers button. And then what it's going to do is it's going to scrub through RealFlow's entire network. So anybody that has ever put in a buyer in their database, it's going to scrub through and it will literally give you that list and it will say, here's your list of people. You should probably get in contact with them. So it's literally going to show you people who have buyers for the exact property that's in your database. So it's a really, really cool feature there.
Oh,
So sorry, Rich. I just couldn't hold that in. I couldn't hold it in. I just had to share the world. So I didn't mean to take your spot, take your spotlight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So to answer your question, that's one of my favorite lists. Another list that I love that I always target is going to be the artificial intelligence. It is just unbelievable. Like, I mean, we bought as a company over 40 years worth of real estate sales data. Like every house that has sold since the 80s to now, we own all the data, everything, billions and billions of data points, like down to, okay, what cars did these people drive? What magazines did they subscribe to? How much money do they make in every household? I know I see like all you're like gasping. It's so creepy, but we own it and we do. So it's like everybody can own this data. I mean, down to like, do you have a screened in porch? How old is your house? And so we look at every house that has sold and then we look what has led up to that house sale. It's almost like symptoms, I like to call it. So like what led up to this house selling? And so what it does is that it, like, as we look at those symptoms, what happens is we take that information and we apply that to today's people. So if we see that somebody has the same symptoms that somebody had in the past that they ended up selling, then they get a higher sellability score. And then what we do is we score those properties. So you can basically say, I'm going to pull a list of all the people in Cleveland and get 11,000 different people in this one zip code. Or you can basically say, give me all the people in Cleveland. And then what we do is we score them on a scale of 0 to 1,000 being the best. So you can say, give me all the people in Cleveland, but give me a score of 900 and above, because I only want the good ones. Like if I'm going to send out marketing, why am I going to send it out to just everybody in the area?
yeah.
And so, so that's what we do. And we give you that score and then you could target them. And it's like, it's unbelievable. Like it's so invasive, the information we have, that legally we can't tell you why they're on the list. The only thing we could do is score them. And then that's how we tell it to you. I know it's super creepy. It's like this stuff if you're by your phone and you're like, I want tacos tonight. And then all of a sudden you get on Facebook and you're like, oh, ad for tacos, go figure. It's like, that's the data we own.
You was talking about stacking. And for those that aren't familiar, could you explain what stacking is?
Yeah. So list stacking, it's basically saying like, okay, like when you're a brand new investor, and Rich and I were just talking about this earlier. Like when you're an investor, it's like figuring out what your buying criteria is. Like sometimes people call it like your buy box or like whatever, I don't know, whatever cool terms they use. It's like, what are you buying in your area? And so, what you can do is like, if you say like, I only want 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses, I want all these different things. But also when you're telling the system, like, and I just thought of something really funny. If you've ever watched like Willy Wonka, did you ever watch like the first Willy Wonka? And like the guy's like poking the buttons. He's like, I'm telling the system, like, and he's like, when like that like machine that was supposed to predict the future. I always think of that when I'm like telling the system to do what I want it to do. But anyways, so what you can do is like, you could basically say, give me all the vacant properties. Okay. So it's going to show you all the properties that are vacant in a particular area. But then you can also combine it with something else, like show me all the vacant properties that has an absentee owner. So now you can basically say, okay, so now I have all the properties that are sitting there. An absentee owner is a property where the owner is absent. So it's somebody else. It could potentially somebody else lives in it, but we're combining it with the fact that it's vacant. So if you think about it, somebody owns a property that they're not living in, that nobody's living in. So it's not bringing in any money, and it sounds like nothing but an expense to me. So that could be something that could be a motivated seller list, but also we're stacking it. So we're able to stack because of our software, because of our developers. Then we can stack on as many other things. Like if you want to see all the ones that are sitting there that are vacant, the owner doesn't live in there, and they're delinquent on taxes. or what if they own it free and clear, or like there's so many different ways that you can kind of scrub your list down to find exactly what you're looking for. So I'm not just throwing money towards like a campaign. And then like the super cool thing is, and I didn't know if you want to make this all about RealFlow. We can talk about like, my journey whenever my daughter was 2, or we can talk about RealFlow. We can talk about flipping houses or being on stage, whatever you want to talk about. The sky's the limit. But, like the software does like so many unbelievable things that, that I could talk about it all day long. If you kind of wanted to.
Well, we probably don't have that much time today, but we'd love to have you back.
I know. Yeah.
We'd love to have you back. We got another question coming in here. Let's bring somebody on. Lauren, you are on with Jenna Hoover. What's your question?
Hi, Jenna.
Hey.
Thank you for all that good information. I have a question. I pulled up the website while you were talking, and one of my questions was about list stacking, but I see there's 2 different kinds of membership, and one has list stacking and one doesn't. Do I need to upgrade to LeadFlow Invest Plus to get list stacking?
Yeah, so there would be different versions that you guys can do. Like you can get a version that's just the leads, just the data. Like if you say, I don't really want the CRM, I don't need the tools to analyze it. I don't want to have autoresponders. I don't want to have like the text blasting and all those different things. You don't have to. You can just do like just the leads. Or you can do it to where you have just our premium leads, or you can have it with or without the CRM. So I would just say, if you are looking at it right now, just wait. Like JJ, I'm not sure if you typically send out like anything to your community. Maybe we can come up with some sort of like a promo or something like that we can shoot out to you guys, like whether it be a free trial, whether it be something that we can offer to you guys, as opposed to like having to feel like you have to rush to buy something now. Just wait. Let's like try to see if we can hook you guys up with something. And then we'll kind of push that out if that works for you. But yeah, so there's basically list stacking is going to be in more, not in our basic package. It's going to be in the middle level, type of package.
I have one more question that I'm looking at this website. It says in one instance, 1 AI zip and the other is 5 AI zips. What are AI zips?
Yeah. So when we talked about the artificial intelligence and you get that sellability score, so just remember, you'll get nationwide access to all the leads. So like you can find leads in any state, any area, any city, anything like that. But what we do is we score the certain properties in a specific zip code of your choosing. So if you say, okay, I invest in Beverly Hills 90210. So you can basically say, I want the sellability scores turned on the properties in Beverly Hills 90210. So that way, when you go in, and if maybe in the future, we can pull up my screen live, I can share it. But you can get additional zip codes where you can turn that sellability score on, and you can also change that zip code every month if you wanted. So if you only get one and you say, oh, Beverly Hills, I didn't get many great leads there, and I want to pick a different zip code, then you definitely can. You can swap it out every month. Like you don't have to have, like if you pick one, you're not like, oh my gosh, forever. Like you can switch it out, and and like they're like the coolest company. You know what I mean? Like they'll work with you. They'll make sure you're happy. We'll work together in most cases. If you're gonna, if we're gonna come out with some promos or something, we'll come out with something, or I can come back in and do like a bonus training call or something fun for everybody. So we can offer that. Yeah,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Lauren, thank you so much for joining us today. Melissa Butts, you are on with Jenna Hoover. What's your question?
Thanks, JJ. Hi, Jenna.
Hey.
As long as you're on the subject, just a couple of questions actually, because I do have RealFlow. I don't utilize it to the extent of what you do, and maybe it's because I'm not as familiar with it. So some of what you were talking about in regards to having the product already, do you have to upgrade for all of these other things, or does anything transition over for existing customers?
So if we do some sort of a promo or something?
Well, what you're talking about. I mean, I know the AI and stuff like that is an upsell kind of thing, but some of the other things inside of it that you guys have like turned on for the last year, or updated, or, done a better job of, or implemented more to it. Is that all upsell stuff, or is that something that just as being a Real Flow customer, you get that automatically.
Oh yeah. So any changes that we make is reflected in your account. So anything that we do improve or change or whatever, it just automatically happens to yours. Like, do you have the CRM side of it? Like, do you have the way to do like a repair estimator or a deal analyzer or anything like that?
I'm not exactly sure. Like I
Okay.
say, I don't know the whole thing. And that was going to be one of my next question, not to cut you off, but if you can maybe answer it all in one. You made the comment that you're working with Rich and you're kind of like he's your student. Is that something that you do on the side, or is that something that's with the package deal?
Yeah, so RealFlow will offer like different promotions and things like that, where they'll offer like, let's say, a year long of their software, and then you're going to get this course and that course and credits for this and some different things. And then they'll add in some, like, depending on the package, they'll may add like mentoring for 3 months or 6 months, or depending on whatever the promotion was. And so when Rich became when we first met, there was a promotion, it was for a year, and then there was another promotion where I worked with him for about 3 months or 4 months or something like that straight. And then now we're working together. I think this recent one is, I think, a year. So yeah, they offer different things to where and they're going to be coming out with some more things. I think they're going to be coming out with some like really, really cool things, like some just stay tuned. Some really cool stuff. But yeah, like, and I don't want to be too pitchy on anything like that because I don't even know all the details yet. And especially since this is JJ's call. But yeah, so they come out with some really cool things. But I'll make sure JJ knows what's up so he can inform you guys, and then he can share with you guys any sort of a promotional link coming up here that we can come up with for you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Thank
like,
you.
well, I'm sure we'll be working together in the future, and whether it be, just because you already have an existing real flow, and if I can help you in any way, just making sure, because it's like there's no reason for you to be paying it and not using it. So they're not like, they don't just want to collect everybody's money just to collect it. Like, they want you to be a success story, because if somebody uses it and doesn't do well, then our stats go down, and we're really big on our stats. So I'm just making sure that you know what you have, because it's probably one of those things that it's just sitting there. It's like, come on, use me, let's go. So I'm sure we'll work together.
Okay. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see
Thank
you,
you.
Melissa. Always good to have you join us. So Jenna, I think we got to wrap up. I think we're getting into a time crunch here. Kind of what Melissa said, you've become a coach, you're with RealFlow. Do you do any private coaching, any private training at all, or is it all through RealFlow, or even outside of RealFlow, you as a real estate investor, do you do any mentorship or anything like that?
I had done that before, and I didn't like doing it by myself. Like, I'm like one of those, like, I like my group. I like my team. I'm not like a lone wolf. And I didn't even want to do coaching before, because I did coaching for the company I was with before. Then I stopped, and I didn't want to do it. And then I had so many people reach out. They're like, come on, mentor me. And I created some different things, and I'm like, I don't want to do it. But I ended up, I had some different students. I worked with them. I created a whole course, a whole curriculum, and then I kind of positioned it to the people from RealFlow. And I said, and this was like, of course, right when COVID hit, and so then we were like halted for, forever, like for almost a year, just because of everything transitioning and changing. And then we basically said, all right, so that's when so I literally, like, I've created the whole curriculum. I created the mentoring program that we originally had before. So I did that. So, I mean, I can do things on my own if I would have wanted to. I did in the past, and I disliked it so much that I wanted to be with this team. And I'm so happy and fortunate here that there's no way I would want to do it not with them or off the record or anything like that. So they are just fantastic. They help me with everything. They just let me go shine on my virtual stage, and they do all the super smart, savvy stuff behind the scenes. So if you want to find me, that's where you'll find me.
Cool. Yeah. Again, didn't have any predetermined path about what we're going to talk about today. Just kind of let it shoot from the hip like I usually do. But I think we've had a great call, and dropping some great nuggets. I think you really opened some people's eyes to real flow. I know that I had it 5 years ago, and it was new to me, and was overwhelmed as most students are with the fire hose of knowledge, and I wasn't using it, and I didn't know how to use it, and so I actually stepped away from it to do other things. But it sounds great from what you've got going on. I think it's something that could probably benefit a lot of people. So we should probably have you back in the future and talk about whatever you want to talk about. But just it's been a pleasure to have you here today. I really want to thank you for joining us.
Well,
If people want to
thanks for having
connect
me.
with you, just to send a message, do you have a website for yourself, or is it Instagram, Facebook? Can people reach out to you at all, or do you prefer people to go through RealFlow, or if people want
I put
to
it
reach
I
you?
put it in the chat. So like my name on social media everywhere is at Jenna Buys Houses. So Jenna, Jenna, and buys is plural, Buys, and houses is plural, Houses. So it's just real simple. Jenna Buys Houses on pretty much all social media platforms. So if you find me there, make sure you reach out and say hello and say, I saw you on the thing, and that way I can help you and reach out to you and watch your careers go. I mean, the thing is, guys, I got into this. I was a single mom. My daughter, she was 2, and I had 0 real estate experience. I invest in 2 of the poorer counties in the state of Pennsylvania, like not the poorest, but pretty much the poorest. And a lot of distressed properties. And so, I mean, when I got into it, I had no education, no experience, and not really hardly any belief in myself, because at that point I was, fresh out of divorces and didn't know where I wanted to go with my life. And I was like in my 20s. So if I can fumble my way through, I didn't have a lot of family support, a lot of friend support. I didn't really know anybody in the industry. It's just all figuring out what you want. And once you figure out what you want, it's just like anything. It's like, if you figure out, okay, I want to go here on vacation. Well, what do we have to do to make it happen? Like, what plans do we have to make? What stuff do we have to pack? Like, it's going to figure it will line up as long as you're willing to put in the work. The thing is, it's not going to be easy, and I'm never going to promise you that it's going to be easy, because there's going to be days it's going to suck. You're going to be like, I hate this. I don't want to do it. I want to quit. But that's fine. If you want to quit, that's fine. That's the day everybody else would quit too. So if you want to be like everybody else, you can quit then, or you can figure out how to keep pushing through, because there are people that are successful in real estate, and it's because they didn't quit whenever it was sucky. So I'm excited to work with you guys. I hope I get to work with a lot of you in the future. Any way I can help support you, I'm going to. And but just know I'm a mom of 2 kids, and I have my own business, and I do stuff. So if I don't, see a message or something, I'm definitely going to make sure I get to it. So, but yeah, reach out, say hello.
Jenna, thank you so much. If you guys are watching on YouTube right now, please like Jenna's presentation. Please like our video. Please put some comments in the chat. As far as for the YouTube actual comment section there. And again, if you want to connect with Jenna, it's going to be through most social media links, Instagram at Jenna Buys Houses. You want to connect with me, my website, jjzizian.com. Look for more videos coming up with us on Flip Side Up with JJ. We've got a whole bunch of great speakers coming up. And I guess, Jenna, we'll see them in the future. We'll probably have you back, right?
Yeah, well,
hopefully, keep our fingers crossed.
As long as you'll have me back. I mean, I don't want to invite myself. So,
well, to have someone of your expertise and knowledge and success, I mean, you're a role model in many ways, leading by example for the community, for men and women and men. And just appreciate having you here, and your knowledge and your expertise. I really sincerely want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. And thank you for putting this group together. I mean, you're changing so many people's lives every single day, and you may not get the recognition that you deserve for all the things you're doing. And you're just like this networking butterfly. And it's like, you're my spirit animal. And I just love watching you at these events, and you're the coolest. And you're so savvy with technology that I feel like I need to learn from you. So I may work with software, but I'm not as savvy as you are. So kudos to you.
I had one last question. You can keep it a short answer. I've got a networking group, and whether one's a new investor or experienced investor coming to the social media platform of Facebook, because every real estate community has a Facebook page. But for the real estate investor, whether they're new or whether they're experienced, what is the importance you think of networking to build someone's business?
How important is it?
Mhm.
It's life or death. I mean, not literally, but I mean, it's so important. And like we can sit on another time and I can tell you like all the things that I did on social media in the beginning to like, I mean, I don't, we didn't even talk about it, but I had a show on HGTV and DIY, but I got it because they found me on Facebook, you know? So yeah, I had a show on TV and it's Facebook. And it's because I was semi annoying on social media in a very kind way. I could look back now and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so annoying. Like, how did anybody want to look at that? But I mean, it's cute. It was 10 years ago, but yeah, I mean, the show was like 7 or so years ago, but yeah, it's so important. And what you're doing and what you're teaching is the lifeblood of a business.
Thank you so much. That coming from you, that means a lot. I have the utmost respect for you and been aware of you and follow you and seeing your growth or journey the last 5 years that I've been in this industry. So again, thank you so much. Again, guys, look for Jenna, look for myself. We're out there, social media at Jenna Buys Houses, jjzizin.com. Thank you for joining us. Please look for more from myself on Flips Up with JJ. Jenna, we'll see you in the future, right?
Thanks for having me. I hope so. Thanks,
Over and out, guys.
everybody.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care. See ya.